You never know how much or how little you need to grieve until you're sitting in there and grieving. I don't like the idea of saving face. Hey guys, welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you have been here before. I mentioned this a couple of times on stream that I want to start pushing for my YouTube to be a little bit more down to earth. I want to kind of talk more. So that's what this is. Intermittently, I will post VODs of my gaming content. And if you like hanging out and just hearing me talk, then this video will be for you. First of all, hi, my name's Aki. I run Destiny Wins Productions, Destiny Wins Gaming, Destiny Wins Cosplay. I am also Sunflower Aki. I am lots of things, lots of names, because I can't make up my mind. I like to talk. So that's what we're gonna do. Full disclosure, I wanted these to be a get ready with me kind of conversations, but OBS has failed me. It stopped recording an hour into my makeup tutorial, get ready with me venting, and and then my other one, I managed to get through all the makeup, but my coworker called me and talked for like 30 minutes. And I was like, well, this is useless. I can't use it. So now I'm just going to sit here, fully glammed out and ready to talk. So that's what we're going to do. So where have I been? I haven't been hiding. You guys have seen me stream live pretty regularly, I want to say. Maybe not as regularly in the last couple months. I do typically stream every other Tuesday, every single Thursday, and then every other Sunday for D&D. I've taken a little bit of a step back from streaming D&D, not because I don't want to, but just because I've been very exhausted. I still try to stream every other Tuesday, brain permitting, sleep permitting. I'm so very tired. And then I do attempt or actually stream every single Thursday. That's kind of like been my ongoing day of streaming for Twitch. This year has been really hard on me. I lost my grandmother. I've been taking care of her for 15 years, and to lose her really meant a lot. And you never know how much or how little you need to grieve until you're sitting in there and grieving. So I'm sorry for being absent. That's exactly what I've been doing. And to that point, when my grandmother passed, I needed something to distract myself from my grief a bit. And I needed something that was easy to do, something that was that I could control the narrative of, and so I started playing a lot of Minecraft.
Huh?
I'm not even joking with you. I play Minecraft with my friends nearly every night. There's something wrong with me. But yeah, like that's just what I've been doing. So I have not been streaming as much. I've been just relaxing with my friends. This year's been really, really hard. Just really has. It's really taken its toll on me, I swear. Aside from that, where I'm going is up next. And where I am going is to Canada. This was a decision between me and Christopher for a bit. We talked here and there about me moving up to Canada to be with him and with all my friends. I told him that I was not going to have that conversation until after Mimi passed, and that he would have to wait at least 5 years. Mimi passed this year, which is a year into our relationship. So that conversation came up a lot quicker than I think either of us kind of expected it to. It's not a bad thing. Kind of kicked our butts into gear and really had us sit and focus on what we really wanted in our relationship. And right now, I think we are both very much ready for me to move to Canada. Canada seems to not be as ready for me as we are. Canada doesn't want me there. We've had a lot of struggles right now with the immigration process. I've been trying online. I've been trying third parties. We have emailed 3 different lawyers, and none of them emailed us back. We're struggling to get me to Canada, so it's been really stressful. But if you guys are at all interested, I would love to bring you on that journey as I go to Canada. The plan is to work as much as I can, and to also, if you guys are willing, to give me some money to run this donathon while I am working, and then while we're moving, and then while we're getting settled until I can get a job up in Canada. That's kind of where I'm at right now, currently, and where I want to go. Me and Christopher have been looking at apartments. Nothing set in stone. We're not going to look properly until maybe next year. So my goal is to move up to Canada by next summer to early fall 2025. Everyone cross your fingers. We're hoping. But there's something that I really do want to get off my chest. And I'm hopeful that you guys will be okay with me venting a bit. We're gonna get a little emotional here. Gonna get a little sassy. But it's something I really want to get off my chest. I think it's gonna be something really cathartic, and I hope that it will be viewed as such, that you guys will listen to me just vent and just understand my frustrations, because I don't like the idea of saving face. I guess that's the word I'm gonna use. It's not a great one, but bear with me. I'm gonna sit comfortably. We're getting comfortable. Grab your tea, grab your snacks. We're getting comfy, because this is a long story. I don't like the idea of saving face, but I also don't like the idea of cancel culture. So, I want to tell my thoughts and my feelings about a recent interaction in my friend group and a recent interaction in my life. But I really just want it to be that. Just my thoughts and my feelings. This is in no way, shape, a call out post or video. I don't want it to be a witch hunt. So, in order to keep it from being a witch hunt, I'm going to omit the person's name. However, you can make your own opinions based on what you heard me say. And I think that's all that's really important, is that I got a chance to speak freely about something that I've been feeling like I can't do. And this is by no fault of my friends. Nobody in my friend group told me I'm not allowed to talk about this. In fact, I've had a couple people tell me to do this video. It's just a matter of when we have big falling outs in the group, especially over something that has been ongoing or emotionally emotionally trying. That's the word I was looking for. Whenever we have these types of big fallouts, our best course of action is to move on, lick our wounds, move on. A lot of that time, the moving on part literally means because, like, by not bringing that person up or not talking about it. And while I don't disagree with the professionality of not speaking about things on stream or airing out dirty laundry, I am so sick of not being able to tell my feelings and my thoughts and my opinions on things because of professionalism. And that sounds so mean, but that's exactly what I'm feeling. And so I am going to just vent. I'm going to hang out with you guys for a minute. I'm going to talk. And hopefully by the end of this story, you guys just kind of understand where my feelings are. And hopefully at the end of this, I feel cathartic enough in this conversation that I don't have to bring it up anymore. Hopefully. That's the hope. That's all I can hope for, I think. So, let's get into it. Okay. So back in 2020, when me and my friend group first became friends, we had a specific friend in this friend group. He was cool. He was fine. He was a lot older than us. A lot of us, we range in age. It's kind of the fun part about being online. A lot of our friends range in age, and we met each other and became friends due to similar interests. But he was significantly older than at least me. He's twice my age. Almost twice my age. He was about 40-ish, or 39 when we met him. And he hung out with us. He had a weird sense of humor that I guess rubbed some people the wrong way, but it wasn't so bad that like we had to kick him out or anything. It just occurred to me right now as I'm looking at myself that I'm not wearing any highlighter, so I guess we are gonna do a little bit of makeup while we do this. It's Ofra Cosmetics in Covent Garden, and I love it. I love her. Anyway, we're gonna put some highlighter on. He rubbed some people the wrong way. Nothing so bad that like we had to kick him out or anything. Clearly we didn't. But he, we all hung out. We were all friends. Around like a couple of years in, I wouldn't even say, maybe it was even one. Maybe it was just 1 year. He had some issues with his girlfriend, and which he told us that he had broached the subject of polyamory to her, and that he had been feeling that he might be polyamorous, and that he asked her very kindly in an open, communicative way. It's very important that I say that. That he had asked her in an open and communicative way if she'd be willing to open the relationship to allow him to explore his polyamory. And she had told him no. And it had caused a bit of an argument between the two of them. And they had then decided to break up at that time. And he always said it was his fault for bringing up polyamory into the relationship. I guess I just didn't realize what that meant until I knew what it meant. It wasn't really discussed. Any part about their conversations or anything else had not really been discussed, especially not with us. They got back together and nobody really even talked about it. It was kind of done after that point. It wasn't discussed. We just all kind of moved on. After that, he kind of started talking quite a lot about how he wasn't getting intimacy from the relationship. And a lot of us I won't say a lot of us. I don't want to talk for other people in the group. I personally kind of understood why. Which was just that if I was a monogamous woman, which I am, my boyfriend at that point, I think they'd been together for about like maybe 4 or 5 years, had come to me and told me that they wanted to open the relationship, and it caused so much of a upset that we ended up breaking up. It'd probably take me a minute to want to like jump back in to that relationship, especially like intimately. And he made this comment in about like every conversation that we had, was that he would constantly bring up that he, quote, wasn't getting laid. And it started to feel a little bit weird to be in conversations with him about them, because it's just like it was always brought up. It was just constantly brought up. And I started to feel a little bit weird about it after that point. And during that time, he had gotten a job at Amazon. Amazon was kind of a drawing point for a lot of us in the group, because we all know that Amazon sucks. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like Amazon was a good company. We all know about the models, okay? And if you don't know, it's easy as a Google search. I'm never going to sit here and defend Amazon as a company. However, as a 42 to 43-year-old man, you know better. You know better. And you should know how to properly leave a job. You should know that you should have a job lined up first before leaving a job. You should know that if you're going to leave a job, you should leave it discreetly. Put in a 2 weeks notice. Let them know why you plan on leaving. This friend never did that. This man went into this job one day, walked right up to his managers and told them to F off. And I laugh because it's so unrealistically horrible to think that that is an accurate way to quit a job. Because it's not. You don't do that. You don't do that. He told them to F off, and then that's what led into a lot of what I would call his downfall as our friend and as a person. It kind of started opening those doors for us to actually see the red flags that we had been ignoring for years. Because when he quit Amazon, he didn't have a backup job. He was completely jobless. And he had let us know, as his friends, that he owed his girlfriend money. That she had helped him fix the brakes on his car, that she had been picking up some of his utility bills and his rent for their home, and that he had owed her, I think, about $1,000 at that point, he told me. And he was looking for sympathy. Then he was looking for help. And he was looking for money from us, his friends. And at the time that he asked us, which was last year, in 2023, we had a really rough year. I had moved back home. As you guys see, I'm at my grandmother's house. I'd moved back home not only to help take care of my grandmother full time, but also because I genuinely couldn't afford to live in my apartment. Inflation. The writer's strike and the animation strikes that were happening last year, and I honestly think they started in 2022, I think, led a lot of our friends, because I am friends with animators at actual animation companies, it led to a lot of our friends getting laid off. Or if they didn't get laid off, then their contracts ended and they could not find new ones. So a lot of our friends were struggling financially, horribly. A friend of mine who didn't live, or wasn't an animator, who just works a regular office job, she got laid off, and she was also struggling financially. Not a single friend could pay for another friend. And this friend of ours who quit his job for horrible reasons. He didn't have a reason. He just told them to F off. And he didn't have another job lined up before he did this. He chose to make this decision. And he wanted our money. Red flag number 1. He decided to run a donathon on Twitch. Now, we have done donathons. A friend of mine who was an animator at the time and was without a job for almost a year had been running an ongoing donathon on his channel to just help him with bills. He had found a few connections and a few networking connections to help him with his viewership. He was streaming nearly every day, and he had gotten a few donations here and there. I don't want to say, like, I don't want to downplay it. He did make a few $100s, but I also don't want to upplay it either. He made a few $100s within a few months. Okay? Which is like, it's not a lot in the grand scheme of things. It helped him pay off some bills so he could afford to live in his house. His partner had picked up extra shifts at their job, even though they were recovering from surgery and they were struggling. And they had both worked really freaking hard to pay off those bills. So they were getting a few donations here and there. This friend decided to start up a donathon to get some money because he was struggling as well. And a lot of us don't really have money right now, or during that time. A lot of us still don't have money right now, literally 2024. But for me personally, I didn't really want to support that friend as much because in my mind and in my opinion, once again, he chose to do this. You chose to tell a job F off to their faces. You have no respect. If I were an employer and I saw that you quit a job and I called that job to ask why you quit or your work ethic, and that job told me that you told them to F off, I wouldn't hire you. That's just irresponsibility, and you are the oldest person in our group. So I had my own thoughts. And at the time, I was still donating to him, technically. It wasn't full donations. I was giving him subs on Twitch. I was purchasing subs for him on Twitch monthly so that I could watch his D&D games. Because at that time, I was really, really involved in watching D&D. And I am still really involved in watching D&D, but I was interested. I was interested. I was paying him my $5.99 a month sub. I was actually paying him at the time. I didn't have Prime subs, so I was giving him my actual hard-earned money. And he went into his channel one night to vent. The vent channels are a place for you to vent out frustrations, irritations, and anger. I get it. I have one, and I yell about it all the time. I'm like, I'm tired. I don't want to work. Everyone pray for me. I got 15, 16-hour shifts coming up. The problem with his vent channel was that it always seemed to be pity baiting and very much victimizing. And I say this with such conviction. He wasn't just venting. He wasn't just upset about a situation. It was written like everything in my life is horrible and it's not my fault at all. And that's a lie. That's a blatant lie. In this particular event, he posted that he was upset that a friend of ours he started the post. Let me start that. He started the post off with this particular post with a sentence that just said, I don't want to discredit any of the support that my friends have gotten, and I'm really proud of them. Which, when tacked on to the following sentences, comes across incredibly disingenuous. Because the following sentences were, it hurts so much to see so many people supporting your friend when none of your friends will choose to support you. And it was so rude to make this type of comment. And by the way, publicly in your Discord server that all of your friends are in was this vent that it's so rude that your friends won't support you, but they'll support your other friend. Oh, but I'm so happy that my friend's getting supported, but why him? And that's exactly how it read, and it was so rude. And at that point, I wanted to respond with, well, one of you chose to quit your job with nothing lined up, and the other one physically can't get one. And has been trying for months. Not just to get... This is... And by the way, the friend in question, the friend who's been called out in this post, not only has he been laid off from working as an animator, but he had also submitted applications for so many places. At one point, he was literally sending in an application to be a barista. He was trying literally everything under the sun to get a job. And Twitch was his only safe haven at that time. And the second he got a job, by the way, he immediately stopped his donathon and moved on and said, like, I got a job. This is phenomenal. I'll be streaming less, etc. That friend did everything, like, right. I don't know, like, nicely. This friend vented about it, and it upset me. And I was kind of upset. I was like, wow, way to call out our mutual friend. And for what? He then continued on with this trend of just sort of asking for advice. What should I do? Why is nobody giving me any money? What is happening? Am I doing something wrong? And it was always these, like I said, just almost pity-baiting messages. It didn't really sound like he was asking for genuine advice. And by the way, our friends had given him genuine advice. In DMs, they had talked about what things he could do to help get money. Things that were in his skill set and his wheelhouse. I also would like to mention at this point that his Donathon incentive sheet had $10 for a sketch donation, that this friend was not a very good artist. And I'm not discrediting. I'm never a person that says that you can't do art, but there comes a point when you are practicing to get better and when you can finally charge money for your artwork. He was not there, especially not $10 there. No, sorry, no. I'm not spending $10 to get a crude, sketchy, looked like it was made on MS Paint drawing. No, sorry, no. I don't know a person who would. I really don't. And I know it sounds rude. It's frustrating to me that that is something that he would do. And it frustrated a lot of our other friends because it looked at that point like the Donathon incentive sheet that he had created was an exact replica copy of the friend that he called out in his vent post. A friend who's an animator and a builder and an artist. And he just copied his donation incentive sheet and then wondered why nobody wanted to buy his. We got upset with him around this time pretty regularly, I want to say. It was just, the Donathon was just too much for us. We didn't want to talk about it. We also didn't want to deal with it. And none of us wanted to support it. So we didn't. And when not dealing with it, we fell into the next problem, which was that this friend couldn't afford to pay for the Dungeons and Dragons games that he was playing. A group that was adjacent of ours, not our direct friend group, but people who know us and we know them. Sounds a little bit weird, but that's kind of what it is. They were looking for a DM, and this friend had suggested Ghostrifter to them, and they had asked Chris if he'd be willing to run a Curse of Strahd campaign. Chris agreed. However, he said, I am so stacked, so busy with a billion campaigns that he's running. At that point, he was running a campaign on Tuesdays. He was running a campaign... he had just finished running a campaign, but he was playing in a campaign on Wednesdays. He had started to pick up a campaign on Thursdays. He runs an at-home, in-person game on Fridays. And then this would be a Saturday, and then every other Sunday he runs Candlekeep Mysteries. So at the time, he was like, I am booked. And so he told them that he would be willing to run the Saturday campaign, with the exception of it would need to be a paid campaign for his time, effort, and mental sanity. Everyone in this group agreed. They all said this is a great idea. Yes, of course. The set-a-thon price was $20 American. Most of them, well, they're kind of split 50-50. There were some Canadians, some Americans in there. But Chris had said it's $20 American per month. So at the beginning of the month, y'all pay me $20 each to play. And, you know, that money will go towards making a nicer campaign. Chris commissioned one of them to make art, or he would use that money on assets, or he would use that money on other D&D art, etc., etc. And they all agreed to this ahead of time at the beginning of that campaign. So when the time hit that this friend had lost his job and his money, he could no longer afford to pay. And Chris, being the kind and nice guy he is, said, I'm totally here for you, whatever you need, don't worry about it. However, it's not fair to the other players who are paying me if I continue to let you play. So for this month, sit out. And if you can get some money next month, then we'll talk about it. This friend agreed, and he sat out. He had gotten FOMO. Because of course he did. Not that was not sarcasm. Like, it's true, of course you do. You have been playing with this group for a while. Suddenly you're not playing, you don't know what's going on. It feels really bad. It's bad. Then he had the brilliant idea of going to Ghostrifter and asking him if he could stream the next session. His idea to Chris was that he had been feeling FOMO and that he wanted to stream it to his viewers. And that he wouldn't play, he would just sit there and listen. And Chris, kind of being the sweet man he is, said, that seems like a good idea. Sure, you can watch and you can just go ahead and stream it and, you know, get it out there for us and whatever. What Chris didn't realize was the true implications of that agreement. Chris had no idea how streaming on Twitch works. He doesn't stream. He doesn't know that once you hit affiliate, you make monetary value on everything. As long as there's one viewer watching your stream, you will make some type of monetary value. It's not a lot, but you can make money. What this friend was asking of Ghostrifter was to allow him to utilize Ghostrifter's campaign that he was not paying for to promote his donathon, to get money for himself, stream live on Twitch to any viewer that will be there to get money for himself, take any ad revenue for himself, any bits, subscriptions, or donations, all for himself. He never promised Chris that he would share revenue in the case that he made revenue. He never agreed to anything like that. He just wanted to share it to his stuff and get the monetary gain from it without ever sharing that with Chris. He exploited the Strahd campaign completely. And that's fucked up. And Chris didn't realize what this meant when he agreed to it, but I did. And when Chris told me, as this friend's only viewer in his chat, I chose I would no longer support him. And so that night, another one of our friends decided to stream it as well. And I popped into her chat instead. I then, about 10 minutes into the campaign start, got a DM from this friend completely guilt-tripping me for not being in his chat. After that point, I put myself at a distance. I didn't want to really interact with him a whole lot. After the Strahd thing, this person sold all of his belongings, all of his figures, so that he could pay some things off. And the first person that he paid was Chris, so that he could continue playing D&D. That rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, because he owed his girlfriend $1,000. Got a job, and he started making some money again, and we were kind of all happy. Yay! He did get a little bit better. Just a little bit. He had started up another campaign and had effectively pissed off everyone in his campaign group over plagiarized art. He had traced over art that had already been created, recolored it, and passed it off as his own. He had upset almost everyone in the group over that. Once the campaign actually started, he was incredibly disorganized. He railroaded a lot because he had not prepared the map. He literally told players that they can't go someplace because he had not fixed the map for that place yet. And it made the game incredibly hard to play, made people kind of upset, didn't really want to play anymore. That mixed with a couple of other different things that had caused some issues. He had upset everybody in his campaign to the point that they all left. He no longer had a campaign. Around the middle of this year, he had mentioned that he would need to be moving out and that him and his girlfriend were breaking up. A friend of ours reached out to him and asked him if he wanted to talk about it. And he told her that not only had he not paid his girlfriend back from the initial $1,000, but that he then owed her about $500 more. And that they had been breaking up, and that she basically told him that she was no longer going to be financially supporting him, and that if he can't afford to live there, then he would have to leave. About a week after this, he mentioned date nights again, similarly to how he did a few years ago. And we kind of had this question of, oh, did they get back together again? So my friend reached out to him again, and basically what he told her was that his girlfriend agreed to give him one final chance, but she would not be financially supporting him at all. This meant that he could no longer see his son, because he could not afford to see his son and be able to pay for food or anything that his son needed. And that she was not going to be financially responsible for him anymore. So he couldn't do much. And then he told my friend that his plan was, instead of fixing his financial situation or fixing his relationship with his son, was to fix his relationship with his girlfriend and then to work on the other stuff. I'm going to go ahead and say red flag number 2. To me, that seems like he just wanted her financial stability again. I could be wrong. I don't believe that I don't want to say that he didn't have feelings for her. But based on his actions, it really, really feels like he used her for money. And that's really shitty. A few more weeks went by, and he finally mentioned around October that he and she officially split. They were officially broken up, and that he would have to move out. Around this time, he also started venting in his channels, his public channels, more often. And a lot of these vents were very self-centered and very victimizing. He never took credit or accountability for anything that he had done to cause his turmoil. Everything that he mentioned was that Amazon screwed him over because he wasn't eligible for unemployment. Well, no shit. You quit. And you told them to F off. You are never going to be eligible for that. No. No. Don't say that they screwed you over once again. They did not screw you over. You screwed you over. Grow up. Grow up. Then he mentioned apparently he owed them government money because he opened a business banking account that he never closed and never put money into, and apparently it had an interest rate, and he was supposed to owe the government some type of money. He called in and got it fixed, but I asked him when he had opened that account, and he said he had opened it in November of 2023. Or, yeah. And I was like, so almost a full year you've had this open and you refused to close it. You did no research. You did no research on why you opened it. You did no research on closing it. You did no research on it when you opened it. That sounds like it's a you problem. And that, yeah, you probably owe the government money. Grow up. I'm sorry to be so rude, but that is ridiculous to blame anybody but yourself for your actions. When he mentioned that he and his girlfriend had broken up, we took it upon ourselves to message his girlfriend, just sort of supporting her. She had played games with us a couple of times, nothing too extensive. She had helped voice some things in a D&D campaign with a few people, but she wasn't super active in our group. But just to be supportive of friends. And also because I think a little bit, I'm not gonna lie, I think it was also a little bit that we were starting to get kind of sick of this person's attitude and the way he had been flipping the story in his favor. He was playing the victim in a lot of his rage posts that made us believe that maybe there was more going on behind the scenes that we just didn't know. We messaged his girlfriend, his ex-girlfriend at this point now, to just give us support and give her our support and just say, you know, like, we're here for you. We hope that you're doing all right. Based on the things that he's been like saying and doing, like, we're just kind of worried that you are also struggling right now. And she notified us that she tried her best to make things work with him. Things did not end up working out with him, that she was upset, and that she knows that part of herself will always love him. But she just couldn't do it anymore. And then she let us know that she was all right, but she was sick of being his financial guardian, basically, and that this had not been his first offense, that he had constantly quit jobs, refused to work, that he was always behind on bills, and that he not only owed her $1,500, but I believe that she said that he owed her over $2,000. My friend then kind of responded that, or the girlfriend also told us that she did not have access to his rage channel or his venting channel, so she did not know what he was saying. To which my friend just responded that he had been talking about his financials and then also talking about his relationship stuff, and that she was worried about them, and since we found out that they broke up. And it was at that point that the ex-girlfriend then told us that they had been struggling since the talk about polyamory 2 years ago, because the talk about polyamory was not civilized, and that she had found out that he had been cheating on her. She let us know that he had been texting other women, and sending other women messages telling them that he loved them, and that when she brought it up to him, and only when she found out and brought it up to him, did he mention to her that he was polyamorous and wanted her to open the relationship. and she felt disgusted and that she felt upset and hurt. And to learn that made me feel disgusted and hurt. First of all, it's deplorable to do that to the person that you supposedly love, who is paying for you to survive. And on top of that, it's just fucking wrong to manipulate your friends like that. I was in his chats, I was in his calls, I was with him when he mentioned that he had a vulnerable moment and brought up to his girlfriend that he thought he might be polyamorous and that he wanted to communicate to her his feelings, and that's not the case at all. He used polyamory as an excuse. And it's disgusting. And it's deplorable. And it's manipulation. It's wrong. And I felt so horrible and gross and manipulated. I felt manipulated by him because I believed him. I believed that he would talk to his girlfriend in an adult, normal manner. I believed that. And it was a lie. It was a lie. It was a lie. He fucking lied to us. He lied to me and to all of our friends. At that point, I'd written him off. I didn't want to talk to him. I didn't want to do anything with him. I was done. Every single message that I saw from that point on just pissed me off because I was like, what is this? A lie? Is this another lie? Is this another manipulation? Is this just you playing victim again because you want pity from everyone around you for shit that you did yourself? And I just couldn't do it anymore. I just couldn't do it anymore. So I left. I left his Discord server. I did not kick him out of mine. I did not, encourage other people to leave. I left. I left his Discord server. In the meantime, he had started doing 18 plus content with his VTuber. VTuber 18 plus stuff is already kind of niche. He was doing furry VTuber 18 plus stuff, which is even more niche. I'm not saying that it's not existent, just very niche. And he was very actively engaging in 18 plus acts online in VR chat with 18 plus content creators and other people while still living in his ex-girlfriend's home. And not just that, but doing it while she was in the room next to him. She could hear him doing things with other people. It's a level of disrespect that I just can't fathom. It's one thing to have your own autonomy and your own privacy, but don't do that kind of shit in a home that you don't own. With your ex-girlfriends who's still grieving your relationship right there. Like that, how disrespectful can you be? And then to think about the fact that he moved on within weeks, not even. Did he ever even care? She was hurting. She would message me or our other friend her frustrations and her irritations. A couple of text message screenshots between her and him where she kind of called him out for being gross and kind of mentioned that it made her feel like he never even cared about their relationship. And his response wasn't, of course I cared about our relationship or anything like that. It was just, well, she's asking questions and I'm going to answer them. Which is gross and disrespectful. Disgusting. this wrong. Before I left his server, right before, I want to say it was like within the same day or so, he had posted in his vent channel, and that was the last time I talked to him, before I sent him my big message. The last time I spoke in his server, he had posted some victimizing, pity me post about how he ruins everything he touches because he's hurting his ex-girlfriend because she's crying whenever he enters the house, and he is feeling like ass or whatever. And it was very much, I ruined so many things, give me pity, I'm so sad and lonely in this, and my ex-girlfriend is so sad, but it's my fault, but you know, pity me for doing that to her. And I couldn't handle it, so I responded. And I just told him it's not about you, so leave it alone. And his response to me was just like, oh yeah, it was a moment of weakness. Just didn't even care. I left his server. My boyfriend was still in it. My friends were still in it, but I had left. I couldn't do it anymore. And he had reached out to one of my friends, my best friend, and questioned a couple of days, or not even, maybe 24 hours before I decided to just fucking rip the Band-Aid off because I was done. He messaged a friend of mine asking her if people were pulling away from him because he felt like they were. She asked him, like, what do you mean? And his response was strictly that he felt that people weren't interested in his 18 plus content and that they were uncomfortable around him because of 18 plus stuff. Now, the 18 plus stuff was jarring. A lot of our friends didn't like it because it kind of puts a bad taste in the furry community's mouth, and it puts a bad taste in 18 plus content creators' mouths. It's really bad. Like, he was not doing it very respectfully, was not doing it very professionally. It really felt, just like I said, just really gross. And it was a good reason why a lot of our friends were pulling away, because they don't really like that kind of content. People don't like 18 plus content shoved in their faces. And it's not like with me and my 18 plus content, which everybody knew I did 18 plus content beforehand. It was not like with me where I set aside 18 plus channels and I said, hey, I'm going to start posting, here's my links, but there's no pictures involved. Or whenever I did post a photo of myself, I did post it as a spoiler so that people don't have to see it. He just posted things right out. Just right out. His Twitter became a cesspool. It just wasn't nice. Wasn't good. Wasn't something that our friends wanted to see. But he thought that was mostly the reason. He didn't have any idea that he was literally doing anything else that was pissing people off. And she tried to kind of have this open conversation with him, but she didn't really mention the things that I personally wanted to be mentioned, which was manipulation and rudeness and playing the victim. So, with everyone's permission, I notified her, I notified my boyfriend Chris, and then I notified my friend who had no idea what was going on, as a third party non-biased opinion. I sent them all a message that I had drafted to send him. They had all agreed that it was very much to the point, that it wasn't necessarily rude. It was a little aggressive. I do believe I got told I was aggressive. But it wasn't rude. It was very much to the point. It left no room for manipulation. But it did leave room for conversation, and that's a kind of important note. It did really leave room for conversation. They all agreed. They wrote it off. They said, go ahead, send it. So I sent it. It's long. And it goes through everything that I said here. It was aggressive. The only things I left out personally were his personal relationship with his girlfriend, the polyamory versus the cheating thing. I did not want that to be part of it. I didn't want to put his ex-girlfriend into a position where he would then potentially attack her verbally, you know, start a fight or argument with her for talking to us. I didn't want to put her in that position while he was still living in her home. I didn't mention any of my other friends, especially not really by name, in this conversation with him. I kept it very much, these are my thoughts and my feelings and my opinions and why I left your server. I sent it to him. It was longer than the Discord Nitro character limit. So for those of you guys who don't know, Discord has a character limit, and then if you get Discord Nitro, you get like 250 extra characters. I broke the extra character limit. Okay? There's a long message. And I told him that I knew that he was probably at work and that if he wanted to go home and wait to read it, that I would totally be okay with that. I know how shitty it is to read something that's kind of hard to read while you're at work. And I got a message back like less than a minute later from him in response to my message. And it said, I understand. I'll leave all the spaces that you're in. And then he left. He left my server and then immediately texted my boyfriend and said, I'm dropping out of all of the D&D campaigns, and then left his server. He then messaged my friend. What he said was, Aki has brought it to my attention that I am toxic. Which was never a word I said, but that's fine. I'm sorry for all of the pain that I've caused. Goodbye. And then he left her server. And then, and this is where things kind of start pissing me off. Then he posted publicly in his server. Now, like I said, I'm not in his server. I left. So him getting into his server and posting was something that was brought to my attention by another friend who was in the server and I believe is no longer in the server. He then posted into his server publicly a message that read, it had been brought to his attention that he was toxic and manipulative, and that he was sorry for all of the trouble that he had caused, and that he needs to walk the path alone, and that he would understand if anybody in the server would want to leave. He gave no explanation as to this message. He just posted this, and this obviously is a pity-baiting message. It was almost as if he never read anything that I told him, and he learned no lessons. And one of the people who was in his server messaged back and said, what are you talking about? And he just responded in equally as stupid of a manner. It was just so bad and so manipulative. And we asked ourselves if he was playing martyr by leaving everyone's servers without a conversation, if he was trying to make himself look like the good guy for saving me and anybody else from the turmoil of having to deal with him. And it just pissed me off even more because that's not ever what I said. And it's like you did not read anything. You did not read a single message that I wrote. You did not read a single character that was written. You ignored things. You cherry picked the parts of the story that you wanted to hear. The things that would make you feel, the things that would get you the most sympathy. that's what you chose to listen to. I never called him toxic, and I'm going to say this right now. The message never once called him toxic. In fact, there's a whole point in my message where I said that I believed wholeheartedly that he did not realize that the messages that he was writing were manipulative, and that he probably truly believed that he was a victim in this, and that I just couldn't do it anymore. I never told him he was toxic. I said his messages were manipulative and never told him he was. I never told him that he was actively trying to manipulate people. But the joke was on me because that's exactly what he then turned and did. He never even read my message in its entirety. And then, after posting his public post in his Discord, he went to all of my friends' DMs. People that I didn't even mention. I want to make this known too. I never mentioned a single one of my friends feeling the same way as me. I said that I felt personally this way. That I left his server. And he didn't even know that I left his server because he was too self-absorbed to even realize that his own friend left his server until she messaged him about it. And then he messaged all of my friends, people I never even mentioned, with the same copy-pasted message of, I'm sorry I was toxic. This is my apology and goodbye, etc. And if any of our friends pressed him, he then would respond to them with, ask Aki. Essentially putting the blame on me for why he had to leave these spaces. When in reality, if he had just talked to me, maybe I wouldn't have felt so fucking uncomfortable. Maybe if he had actually had a conversation about the messages that he had sent, or took any accountability for the fact that he literally played victim in every single message or conversation he had with me, maybe I wouldn't have feel so upset in his presence. It was ridiculous. And you know what the worst part is? The worst part of all of it was that, one, he moved on like nothing happened. He went and messaged everybody, posted on his Blue Sky, all of this crap about how he had to walk his path alone, taking no accountability whatsoever for any damage that he had done to his ex-girlfriend, to his ex-friends. Took no accountability. But what makes everything so much more frustrating to me is that he did this. He said, I'm sorry to everyone. He apologized in his server. He apologized to Chris. He apologized to friends, like I said, that I'd never even mentioned in this conversation with him. He messaged at least 4 or 5 people in our friend group. He messaged everyone an apology. Except for me. He never said that he was sorry to me. He said he understood, which clearly he didn't, because he immediately went and did exactly what I told him he was doing. So clearly he did not understand. But he told me he understood and that he would leave. He never apologized for making me uncomfortable. He never apologized for triggering my PTSD with manipulation. He never apologized for manipulating us. He never apologized to me for any of it. And now he can't. Because he left every single server that he had contact and ties with. And he made it so that he can no longer message me on Discord. He can still message me on like Twitter and stuff. I think he unfriended me on Facebook and stuff. So, there's that. But he never apologized to me. And part of me doesn't think that he wanted to. Based on the way that he has acted since leaving, the conversations that he has had with his ex-girlfriend, the jumping right back into 18+ content and literally ignoring all of the respect for her that he could have had, I don't think that he cared. I don't think he cared. He already has a new boo. He is sharing her on his blue sky. He is acting as if nothing ever happened and that nothing was ever his fault. And it pisses me off. Which is why I don't like being the good person anymore. I'm sick of being the nice person that saves face. I don't like the, oh, we're not going to talk about this person conversation, or we're just not going to bring it up on Twitch or anything like that. I'm not that person anymore. I can't be that person. Because when you disrespect everyone around you, you don't deserve respect from me. When you manipulate and lie and cheat and just disrespect everyone, your friends, your family, your significant others, you don't deserve your face saved by me. You couldn't even apologize to me. So you don't deserve an apology from me either. And with that, I'm gonna go hang out with my friends. The ones who are good and real and don't act like shit. And I will see you. I'm sorry that this video ended off in such a weird way. I got really ahead of myself in my feelings, but I do feel a little bit better talking about it. And I think I will feel really, really good posting it. And I don't think I will regret it. I don't think I'm going to regret it, and I don't think that I'm going to feel sorry about it. So, all that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed my story time. This is the look. I know you guys already saw it, but there it is. And I will see you guys. Hopefully I'm going to start vlogs. I'm going to start some vlogs. We're going to get some just vibing going on. And I will see you guys in those. As well as the Vods. I'm not going to not stop posting the Vods. So I'll see you guys later. Goodbye, everybody. Mwah. I'll see you soon.